Hey, welcome back again. Now let's actually take a look at the trigger settings and see what exactly they do. We have the action radius. This determines the distance at which the trigger will get set off. Right now it is set to 5, so if an avatar gets within 5 units from the trigger, it will activate. Note that if we scale the sphere, it will have no effect on how the trigger works. Scaling the sphere only changes how we visually see the trigger. We can set it to whatever size works good for us. The action radius is the only thing that determines the distance at which the trigger will activate. The activate and deactivate inputs are where we place scripts that we want the trigger to execute when it is set off. We can write any scripts here that we want. We can even have scripts that execute other scripts in the scene, as we will see later. If you look at the script currently in the activate area, it reads physics.init physsim in parentheses. This script will toggle physics on or off. Now in the type drop-down menu, we can select between distance and usage. If we select distance, then the trigger will execute the script in the activate field when an avatar enters the action radius for the trigger. When the avatar exits the action radius, it will execute the script in the deactivate field. If a field is left blank, nothing will happen for that particular action. If we set the trigger to usage, then the avatar can set the trigger off by pressing the use key, which is the P key on the keyboard. If the avatar is within the action radius and presses the use key, then the trigger will activate. Now keep in mind that both the activate and deactivate inputs will execute when the trigger is set off, so there is really no need to have anything in the deactivate field when a trigger is set to usage. So let's take a look at how this actually works. I'll back up here in the 3D view a bit. Now I'll make sure that the LE window has focus and press the FPN button in the bottom toolbar. An object called FP Properties pops up in the LE. I'm going to select this object before going into FPN mode because I found that FPN runs a bit smoother when this object is selected. Now I'll right-click in the 3D space to enter FPN mode. I'll use the standard WASD keyboard controls to walk near the trigger. Now when I press the P key on my keyboard, we can see that physics turns on. I'm just going to get out of FPN mode and stop physics. I'll also move the physics object out of the way here. So it works. The trigger executed the script in the activate field. With the trigger set up this way, the user can actually toggle physics on and off when they are near enough to the trigger. This could be useful in some situations, like if we want to let a user toggle a light on and off with a switch or something. Now let's see what happens when we change the trigger type to distance. I'll back up a bit again and go back into FPN mode. Now physics starts when I walk into the action radius for the trigger. I don't have to press anything, it just automatically goes off. Let's test the deactivate field too. I'll select the script in the activate field and use Ctrl+C on my keyboard to copy it. Then I'll place the cursor in the deactivate field and use Ctrl+V to paste it here. Now I have the physics toggle script in both the activate and deactivate fields. So now physics should start when I walk into the trigger radius and stop when I walk out. Let's give it a try and see if it works. Now I'll go back into FPN mode and walk towards the trigger. We can see that indeed physics does activate when I walk in and deactivate when I walk back out. It works. Now that we know how to use the trigger, meet me in the next video and we'll start putting some triggers into action.